I was just thinking, have I got time to wipe my dribble from just drinking a sip of turmeric tea before the live goes on? And the answer was no. So, hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to Friday. So here we are. If you're there, if you're joining me, say hello. Hit that link, streamyard.com/Facebook, if you haven't already done so, to give permission to StreamYard to show your name. Let me just and hashtag live if you are live, and hashtag replay if you watch me on replay. Now, I've just found out some really interesting stuff this morning. Oh gosh, I sounded really brummy then. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Debbie Huxton, and I am a life coach. I am here to help you deal with all things inside. So it's really been an amazing day today. The sun has been shining brightly. It has been beautiful to get out. I went out for my 7 a.m. walk this morning and then have been busy throughout the day having different meetings and different calls. So, but I just wanted to share this with you first. I found out this morning that if you go and Google Facebook, they have been down for hours. Not just Messenger, but actual Facebook had to be switched off yesterday, and people were like panicking, and apparently it's been happening all week, all of these different things. If you go and read, it's about the coding they're doing. Apparently they got an error code and values wrong. I was like, oh, somebody's in trouble, somebody's in big trouble. And I thought, wow. So the reason I'm telling you that is, if you get to watch this live or on replay, please go back and watch the previous lives that I've done this week, because it will help you understand today's live. If you don't, go back and look at those other videos. I don't care about you looking at me. I could be in a brown paper bag. I just want you to hear what I have to say, because all of the stuff is really important. It's foundational to everything that I teach. So I hope that you are well, and whoever's there, please say hello. Please say hello and let me know that you are there. So I'm a Brummy girl. I come from the middle of England. I live north of Birmingham, and it is my pleasure to be speaking to you this evening, this morning, tonight, whatever time zone you are in. So let's get started, because we haven't got much time and I don't want to waste it. But we got to talk about soul care yesterday, so I'm going to continue that with you today. This morning I went for the most beautiful, crisp, misty walk when I got into the local park near where I live. Oh my gosh, the mist was on all of the lakes, the several lakes in this park. The frost was on the ground. There was a chill in the air, but the sun was up and the colors were radiant, and the smell of spring was in my nostrils. So spring is approaching, that time of new beginnings and new seasons. And for some of you, I decree over you right now that this is a new season, a new beginning. This is a time of rebuilding, and it's a time for you to go forward, and whatever you build now will be better than what you've built before. So if the scenery in your mind is dark and weary and dreary, then this soul care information is going to help you. You know, I want you to be encouraged to step out of the confines of your own thinking right now, wherever you are, to take yourself for this scenic walk, if you like, this virtual scenic walk, as I take you on this pathway of soul care. So, you know, I put something on Facebook today for my friends to read, to encourage them. I like to encourage people wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, and to fill people's minds with new thinking, and to get people thinking about the perspective and lens that they may be seeing life through. And it says, you know, there's a quote that says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Or if you, somebody that reads the Bible, it says, as a man or woman thinks in his heart, so is he. So in other words, that means that ultimately what we think determines how we live and who we are. So we need to take our thoughts seriously, and we need to think carefully about what we are thinking. It's important to consider these things. So today I'm going to continue the teaching, and I know that Claire is going to pop a link in later for you to download her free PDF on getting more sales organically on Facebook. So I said to you yesterday, I was talking to you about the soul, and I was talking to you about the essence of the soul. I was talking to you about things that matter to the soul. I was telling you that the health of the soul is dependent on the smallest of things. Periods of silence, solitude, stillness, slowing down, study, and the practice of Sabbath rest, the practice of taking time out to rest. They're just a few small things that help to renew our souls. I said to you yesterday that if your story includes feeling grieved, depleted, overwhelmed by life, then we must be careful not to minimize the experience and just push it off. So I had a conversation with someone this morning where they told me their challenge, their problem, and then they proceeded to minimize it by saying, I know, but there's much bigger things going on in the world. Whilst what they were saying was absolutely true, there are bigger things going on in the world in the grand scheme of things. It doesn't matter. So it does matter. Their problem does matter. We can't minimize it. It matters that things are going on in the world, but we can't minimize the problem that each person is experiencing. That's why we end up with mental health problems. Too many people trying to suppress their things because they think that they don't matter or that their problem doesn't bear acknowledging. If you are struggling with any kind of overwhelm, any issue in your marriage, in your parenting, in all of the things that are going on right now, don't minimize that experience to try and fit it into a grand scheme of things, because all that will do is deny you your emotional health, and more importantly, it creates a wound in your soul. So some of those were some of the things that I said yesterday. I want to continue today to talk about the reasons why soul care matters and to start you on the journey of what you can do to start to take care of your soul. I haven't got long, so I'm going to speak rather fast so I can get a lot of this out. What I don't finish today, I can finish when I come back on here again. But the reason why soul care matters, these are some things I want you to ponder. So if you have your journal, if you have your pen, if you have your pen and your journal handy, then you can take some notes and you can maybe write down some pointers. But first of all, I want you to just stop for a moment and take a deep breath. Some of you may have just been sitting down for a long time and all the oxygen is pulled at the bottom of your lungs. So stand up maybe and take a deep breath. Have a walk around. As you sit back down, just sit back down, knowing that what I'm about to share, you can allow yourself to be convicted of if necessary. And if there is something that really resonates that you think, yeah, that's really me right now, I want to encourage you to begin this journey of transformation by taking a deep look at what's inside and not shy away from it if you're recognizing that this could be you. So we're living in what we call perilous times. We use the word unparalleled in history, involving so what that means is we're living in a time that involves risk, it's grave risk, that we're living in hazardous times, dangerous times. I've heard it written that it says the tectonic plates of the world are shifting, which makes the most fearful time in history of our nation, and many people are picking up on that fearful energy. And I said to you yesterday that love and fear cannot coexist. They cannot coexist. Love drives out all fear. But if we are operating from a position of fear, false evidence appearing real, it's going to start to affect our soul. And right now, there is a lot of fear manifesting itself in the energy of the world. Political meltdowns, pandemic, recession, inflation. Wars are going on in different countries on several fronts. We are almost being affronted in our living. And all and more of this makes us feel unsteady and maybe nervous. Fear is now the predominant emotion people are experiencing. And from the looks of things, it's not going to improve quickly. I've been on a meeting this morning. I've been on several meetings today, but a meeting this morning where it was talked about the investment into mental health as the lockdown in the UK lifts. So people, charities and different parties, different government bodies are preparing for the fallout from this pandemic when it comes to our mental health. So fear is the predominant emotion that people are actually experiencing right now. So that's more important why we need soul care. Because we need a foundation on which to stand upon, with so much emotion eroding away our well-being right now. The soul absorbs so much stress around us. It's like this, it's not a tangible thing, but it's, if you imagine it as a sponge, it is absorbing all of the emotions around us right now. It absorbs other people's emotions. And then it can hold on to that, making us fearful of what our lives might become and the lives of our children, the lives that our children have to face. I've been speaking to lots of people over the last 6 months about the worries they have for their children. Let me just say to you some encouraging words. Children are really resilient. Children are really resilient. And how we treat our children in this particular season of pandemic is going to have an impact on them in their future. How they see us handle the pandemic is going to be a real echo in their lives of the future, because they are going to pick up behaviors, they're going to see how you've handled this tough situation. If you have been a parent that maybe hasn't got it all right, because I tell you what, I couldn't do homeschooling, and my poor children, flipping heck, if my children were young right now and I had to do homeschooling, I'm so grateful I haven't had to do that, and I'm so grateful right now I don't have grandchildren to have to do that with the poor things. But so I salute all of you parents that are homeschooling. But if you are somebody who is melting down, who is stressed, who is anxious, and that is being displayed in the home, maybe you're arguing with your partner, maybe they're shouting at the children, maybe there's just a lot going on. Whatever those children are witnessing right now is how they're going to react to life in the future. So we have a responsibility, and that also includes how we react with others around us. And our children, oh gosh, they're so precious. They're entrusted to us. We are given the gift of children entrusted to us. And so we want to make sure that they are not living lives that are driven by fear, which is why it's important that we take responsibility for ourselves, and they see us doing that, because that gives them permission to take responsibility for themselves. Where everything seems out of control, we can't always control the situations going on around us. We couldn't control this pandemic, but we can control how we react to it. And we can help our children control how they react to everything that's happening for them, because it has been super tough on them. Yeah, it really has, Claire. It has been super tough on them. So this is why soul care matters. If we learn about soul care, we can teach it to our children. And if we teach it to our children from a very young age, we put them into a preventative position rather than cure. And I don't know about you, but we want to give our children all of the tools and resources that they can be the most incredible, wonderful, well-rounded, resilient human beings. So somewhere along the way, we can see a very lost world. We can see society is quite lost. Today, we're unsure about which way to turn. There's so many decisions. I went to a supermarket recently and I walked down the aisle, and I said this to my husband when I came home. I just went for a jar of mayonnaise. I looked at all the different mayonnaises. I was like, what do I choose? Which one? Which one's the best? It used to be Hellmann's. You've got all different size jars, all different names, all different vegan, your plant-based, your high fat, your low fat, all of the different things, no sugar, sugar-free, no, and I was just like, whoa, I just want some mayonnaise. And you go into a position of overwhelm, because we live in an era, a heavy consumeristic era, where there's a sense of entitlement, and there's also consumerism is driving us to create more and more stuff to fulfill our unsatisfied souls. And that is what the problem is. Our souls are craving so much. That's why we're seeing a rise in addiction. We're seeing a rise in alcoholism, gambling, overeating, all of these things we are seeing an increase in, because the soul is so unsatisfied and it is craving. And we try and think that we can satisfy all of that from the things of the world, and we can't. Without direction, being lost in a sea of overwhelm, not being able to decide what jar of mayonnaise to buy, something as simple as that, because of the choice, because there is so much out there, Without direction, we are tossing and turning in our beds at night. People are being kept awake. People are suffering with insomnia. And without rest, we are then left to wonder, fret, and live in fear. Caring for the soul offers us direction. So for not only how to live, but it offers us a sustaining way to live. Hi, Judy. Judy's been peeling the potatoes. I know exactly what she's been up to. Not because I'm psychic in any way, shape or form, because she told me. So I hope you got your potatoes peeled, lovely. So caring for the soul offers us direction. It offers us direction for not only how to live, but it offers us a sustaining way to live. Soul care embraces rhythm rather than seeking to live in the myth of balance. So yesterday I started to dispel the myth of balance, that it's about alignment over balance. Balance is lost in a world where survival is the name of the game. Caring for the soul is vital and important. Words of wisdom. What do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul? We can lose our soul. Sometimes along the way of life, we have to ask questions. What are we losing with all that we have gained? In this heavy, consumeristic world that we now live in, what have we gained, and what are we losing because of what we have gained? The big dream is becoming a bit of a nightmare. We're now forced to rethink everything. So this whole pandemic has caused us to rethink everything. It's press the reset button. It's a time of recalibration and rebuilding. The challenge is, if we don't go deep inside ourselves and look at what's going on with our soul, we will be rebuilding on shaky foundations. We need to build on solid foundations. And if we build on shaky foundations, anything that we do will be shaky. There will be a lack of clarity, a lack of confidence. You will be riddled with doubt. So it just proves that we need to get this inner work done. Caring for our soul means guarding our heart and watching our lives. These are the key to the foundations of sustainable success. Let me say that again. Caring for the soul, guarding our heart, and watching our lives are the key foundations to sustainable success. What do I mean by guarding our heart? Guarding our heart doesn't mean protecting ourselves from people. It means about what we put out there, not what others do to us. It means about what we think, what we say, what we do. Watching our lives, what do I mean by that? It means observing ourselves, how we're operating in life, taking responsibility and accountability for how we show up in a situation. So through the practice of caring for the soul, we can live in unsteady times because our anchor is not tied to the economy. Our anchor is not tied to a debt crisis or the stock market. Our anchor is not tied to Brexit or reliant on the state in any way. Our joy is found in divine perspective. Our security is in a perspective that says, I'm a citizen of something much bigger than me, a divine kingdom. And I choose this day to live with a long-term view of reality. We learn to care for our souls by learning how to care. We learn to care for our souls. When we learn to care for our souls, everything changes. Hard times may come and go, but we remain steadfast and anchored, unwavering. We can live through those circumstances. The storm may rage around us, but we are in the midst of the storm, unmoved. Soul care helps us navigate the white water of life. We can drown in white water if we don't know how to navigate it. It can leave us exhausted from the fight of trying to stay afloat. In the midst of what I just said, perilous times, we can learn how to rise above the circumstances, how to redefine contentment. If I was to ask you the question right now, I'm not talking about happiness at the moment. I'm talking about real sense of contentment. On a scale of 1 to 10, how contented are you in your relationships? And break those relationships down. Don't just score an overall. Go into all of the different relationships that you have. I'll do some more on this next time I come to you. Your health, all the different areas of your health, your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, anything that you may have going on with your body, your spiritual life, your finances. Score them all. Have a look at them. Break them real down. But if we looked at all of that and we think about the word contentment, how contented are you out of 10 for all of them? 1 being totally discontented, and 10 being, oh no, I'm totally contented. We have to learn to rise above circumstances and redefine contentment. How to find a sure foundation in the midst of what we call cultural quicksand, when everything suddenly changes and we feel like we're being sucked in, dragged down and into something that's out of our control. When we care for our soul, we learn to live in a rhythm that sustains a way that energizes us from within. We gain perspective that is life-giving, not life-draining. We have one life to live, girls. We have one life to live, and it's not a dress rehearsal. So many of us are confused about what this abundant life really consists of. And when I use the word abundant to use life, people go, what do you mean by that? This one word, abundant, is precisely the word that actually invites us to cast a vision of what a deeply satisfying life could look like. Abundance means not to have everything. It means to live from a perspective of knowing that we already have everything, that our lives are not reliant on material things. Material things are just the result of actions. It's feeling completely satisfied with the actions that we're taking. We need to get it right. We really do. We need to get these things right, or we'll find ourselves waking up to the fact that the life we wanted is not possible at all. We will mistakenly relegate our souls to the bottom of our priorities and not the top, and live in a world that over time just crumbles around us. A world that overpromises and under-delivers. So by taking time out for yourself to work, use a mentor or a coach who understands all of this and teaches from the soul, you can regain perspective. You can regain perspective and become resilient and create a sustainable way of living. Busyness robs us of life. We've heard that saying, don't be a busy fool. We need productivity over busyness. The busy life is not an abundant life. Through learning how to implement practices such as silence and solitude into our lives, we can learn to listen. We can learn to listen to the divine voice that is calling us onto our rightful path. Then we won't be left to our own impulses or temptations to go where we think the money is. So I'm going to just check my time. I'm gonna leave that there for now, because I've done half an hour and I don't want to take up more of your time, because I know that people still have dinner to eat and things to get on with. And we've got the lovely Lindsay coming up later, I think at 6 p.m. with her fitness mindset, taking accountability for yourself. And I'm going to come back next time and I'm going to share with you very, very soon more about this. But I want to leave you with this. It's time to take a 360-degree walk around your life, and you cannot do that on your own. If you want to know how to do that and you'd like to do that, then get in touch. But I'm going to send you so much love. Have an amazing weekend. You so deserve to have a life. Live well, love well, and be well. So until next time, I send you lots of love. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sunshine. Get out there in the fresh air and breathe. And take care of your soul. Good night. God bless.